Gentlemen, my friends, fellow humans, fellow compatriots from across the planet, I am Nikhil Parekh. In this video, I shall be talking about my book titled Life Equal to Death, Volume 3, Poems on Life, Death, as well as giving you a recitation of different poems from this book of mine. So friends, let me commence with an introduction to this book of mine. About the poetry book. This book, which has 50 differently titled poems, is actually volume 3 of the book titled Life Equal to Death, Poems on Life, Death, 1200 pages. This enigmatic collection of poems explores and equates the boundless possibilities of life and death and delves into each intricate inexplicability of survival. Parekh's roving philosophical eye brings the unconquerable richness of life to the fore and yet at the same time explicitly highlights the veracity of death as the absolute certainty of every existence. The poet joyously celebrates the occasions of both life and death with equal panache. In each poetic stanza, sewn with the uncanny mysteries of this universe. The poems within immortalize both life and death. As the ultimate victories and the two most contrastingly amazing and divine sides of creation. Catapulting the reader to the threshold of ultimate ecstasy, they bring about an impromptu twist with the closure of breath and what lies beyond. This charismatically woven collection of poetic verse would equally enamor the narcissist as well as the simple humanitarian to the core. This book is a humble attempt to enlighten the readers with the equality of life and death and to live in both of them to the most unparalleled fullest. Embracing only the religion of humanity as the Lord has commanded every living being on earth. You can't die in life and can't live in death. Each of these components are irrefutably equal in every respect and should be worshipped with due obeisance. So now friends, I will give you a recitation of 4 different poems from this book of mine. These different poems are titled as Life Means More, In Order to Savagely Die, Found My Own Corpse, and A Bucket of Breath. Of course, at any juncture of victoriously mesmerizing existence, you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a recitation of my poem titled Life Means More from this book of mine. Life means imagination, the ability to perceive and dream beyond the absolutely extraordinary. Life means observation, the magical prowess to imbibe the maximum out of the stupendously magnificent surroundings. Life means seduction, the uncanny desire of being tantalized every second to the most unprecedented limits. Life means devotion, the immortal virtue of being obsessed with the entity you uninhibitedly cherish and love. Life means fascination, the incessant entrenchment perpetuated by all the mesmerizing beauty wandering on this planet. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Life means grandiloquent. The royally majestic sights embedded on the trajectory of this boundless planet. Life means benevolent, the philanthropic element to help all those fellow compatriots in inexplicable misery and tumultuous pain. Life means turbulent, the vivacious swirl of rampant thoughts and emotions that engulf one's countenance by storm. Life means fragrant, the profusely redolent aroma which emanated from the voluptuous conglomerate of lotus in the pond. Life means prudent, the incomprehensible ability of the human brain to act the most sagaciously in every situation. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Life means unfathomable, the paradise existing beyond unprecedented corridors of perception. Life means unconquerable, the aura of invincible love encompassing the soul which never could die. Life means unbelievable, the astoundingly amazing string of incidents which sporadically intruded, simply beyond any power of comprehension. Life means unimaginable, the land which unfurled afresh after each ounce of perceivable perception had completely exhausted. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Life means fabulous, more insurmountably enchanting than the silken puffs of voluptuously crimson clouds. Life means mysterious, deluged with a myriad of baffling puzzles at every step you alighted. Life means mischievous, as boisterously vivacious as the grin of a newly born infant, as poignant as a teardrop gushing from his eyes. Life means adventurous, inundated with exuberant spice as each second unleashed, plunging into the valley of ravishing excitement. Life means perilous, sandwiched mystically with dangerous impediments which made a person rise from the ashes in his fight for holistic survival. Life means incredulous, the greatest gift for every tangible organism to be bestowed upon with. Exist in unison till the Almighty Lord commanded. Exist in unison till the Almighty Lord commanded. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Life means God. Life means perennially unending. Life means more. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled Found My Own Corpse. So here is a recitation of my poem titled Found My Own Corpse from this book of mine. Above the soil, the cars appear to be like royal emperors, traversing majestically on the silken coat of long road, while beneath the soil, the same cars seem to be squalidly coated with mud, painstakingly labor to trudge merrily forward. Above the soil, the matchsticks appeared to be burning in passionate fire, profoundly illuminating the darkness of the wretched night. While beneath the soil, the same matchsticks seemed to be gasping for breath, relinquishing their boisterous flames in wholesome entirety. Above the soil, the conglomerate of clouds appeared to be a silken carpet, inundating barren kilometers of mud on earth with robust sheets of sparkling water. While beneath the soil, the same clouds seemed to be dingy little bellows of obnoxious gas, brutally entrapped and blended with dark chunks of purple earth. Above the soil, the crops in the farm appeared to be salubrious and ingratiatingly fresh, swaying delectably with every draught of amicable wind. While beneath the soil, the same crops seemed to be completely corroded, squelched to barbaric roots hanging flimsily under the ground. Above the soil, the bucket of milk appeared frosty and supremely scintillating, inevitably enticing cats from the midst of their celestial sleep to gather around in unison and sip. While beneath the soil, the same milk seemed horrendously dirty, perseveringly inching its way downwards towards the deep belly. Above the soil, the eggs hatched into scores of immaculate fledglings, harmoniously puncturing the atmosphere with their lovely rambunctious sounds and noises. While beneath the soil, the same eggs got overwhelmingly burdened with bulky mud, strangulated miserably to even spread their legs. Above the soil, the cluster of hideous snakes enjoyed unparalleled privilege in hunting for their succulent prey, easily sighting it in austerely brilliant rays of sunlight. While beneath the soil, the same snakes slithered in gloomy mysticism, having only to contend with dead worms and a festoon of inconspicuous bodied ant. Above the soil, the pages of the book seemed a treat to read and intricately decipher, with the battalion of words prudently embossed inside, capturing the true essence of life under silvery rays of moonlight. While beneath the soil, the same book became simply inaudible to read, and the termites attacked it pathetically from all sides of its hard-bound periphery. Above the soil, the fleet of butterflies danced and frolicked euphorically, generating ebullient draughts of fresh air. Hardly sat for a minute, besieged by the ardor of their activity. While beneath the soil, the same butterflies lost their petite wings, had monstrous difficulty to even open their eyes. And above the soil, I lived in blissful tandem with the universe, wandering and exploring, conquering and relishing, romancing and procreating. While beneath the soil, the same me found my place to rest for centuries unprecedented. As a matter of fact, found my own corpse. And above the soil, I lived in blissful tandem with the universe, wandering and exploring, conquering and relishing, romancing and procreating, while beneath the soil, the same me found my place to rest for centuries unprecedented. As a matter of fact, found my own corpse. Found my own corpse. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled In Order to Savagely Die. So here is a recitation of this poem of mine. In order to embarrassingly fall on the ground, one must first try to audaciously stand. In order to vehemently cry aloud in astonishingly calm air, one must first try to inculcate the virtue of uninhibited laughter. In order to be blatantly illiterate, one must first try to imbibe the meaning of sagacious and discerningly literate. In order to be dismally gloomy, one must first try to flirtatiously smile. In order to be disastrously defeated, one must first try to embrace exhilarating victory. In order to feel gruesomely bizarre winds of freezing cold, one must first try to experience the winds. One must first try to experience the winds of inexorably blistering heat. In order to starve to unprecedented limits, one must first try to eat succulent morsels of tantalizing food to the most gargantuan of his heart's content. Heart's content. In order to thunderously sneeze, one must first try to inhale in fresh draughts of exuberant breath. In order to get overwhelmingly wounded, one must first try to valiantly brandish a sword and fight. In order to remain as still and motionless as the morbid corpse, one must first try to boisterously march at the crack of every euphoric dawn. In order to dance naked on the viciously barren streets, one must first try embellish himself completely from fluffy head to diminutive feet. In order to hysterically scream, one must first try to remain perpetually silent. In order to fight unceremoniously with innocuous people sleeping in their dwelling, one must first try to incessantly pray. One must first try to incessantly pray. In order to blink indefatigably without the slightest of control, one must first try to prudently stare for marathon hours on the trot. In order to perceive the most obnoxious stench existing on this planet, one must first try to profoundly absorb the stupendous scent of the scarlet rose. In order to thunderously yawn in the midst of the bombastic conference, one must first try to sit sagaciously for countless hours on the desk without budging the tiniest either to the right or the extreme left. In order to break the glass into infinite splinters of serrated mirror, one must first try to wholesomely admire his reflection to unsurpassable extents, even after ghoulish nightfall. In order to commit salacious acts of mortifying betrayal, one must first try to wholeheartedly and truly love. In order to trip head on to the rock bottom of the obdurate ground, one must first try to dexterously clamber up the escalating and rickety staircase. In order to go perpetually blind, one must first try to enjoy the spellbinding and mesmerizing prowess of handsome sight. In order to disdainfully drown to the bed of the deep, in order to disdainfully drown to the bed of the deep and fathomless ocean, one must first try to uninhibitedly swing his arms and swim. In order to become barbarically dumb, one must first try to eloquently speak and sing. And in order to savagely die and brusquely relinquish breath, one must first try to lead life. Move his hands and feet for existence. Move his hands to blissfully survive. And in order to savagely die and brusquely relinquish breath, one must first try and lead life. Move his hands and feet for existence. Move his hands to blissfully survive. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall now give you a recitation of my poem titled A Bucket of Breath from this book of mine. So here is a recitation of this poem of mine. A bucket of stones to build a bucket of stones to build and resurrect my gruesomely broken dwelling. To build and resurrect my gruesomely broken dwelling. A bucket of sparkling water to clean my unwashed body, and he laid the last iota of dirt incorrigibly adhering to remote corner of my skin. A bucket of food to wholesomely appease the overwhelming pangs of hunger in my famished stomach, my volcanic desire to chew. A bucket of flocculent cotton fluff to impart me with compassionate warmth in the heart of frozen winter. A bucket of intractable glue to coalesce the shattered fragments of distorted glass in which I sighted my heavenly reflection. A bucket of scintillating pearls to sustain the vagaries of day-to-day and uncouthly monotonous life. A bucket of feather-tipped pens to emboss and evolve infinite lines of spellbinding literature. A bucket of ominously black clouds, showering thunderbolts of tantalizing rain on the trajectory of this scorched planet. A bucket of antiseptic detergent to decimate those inconspicuous germs lingering round my immaculate persona. A bucket of sizzling tea to profusely reinvigorate and stimulate my every languidly dreary morning. A bucket of appetizing brown chocolate to stringently awaken the dormant dormitories of my brain. A bucket of fortified sticks, granting me that impregnable prowess of defending myself against the most heinously hostile of enemy. A bucket of dead and stupendously lifeless bones to make me realize the value of harmoniously precious life. A bucket of incomprehensibly enigmatic enigmas to prolifically rekindle my dying imagination. A bucket of flabby caps to wholesomely sequester me from acerbic rays of the flaming sun. Flaming sun. A bucket of looming watches to accurately depict to me every unleashing minute of the day. A bucket of crisp bonded paper. A bucket of crisp bonded paper to facilitate me to compile a grandiloquent book harnessed with my very own blood. Harnessed with my very own blood. A bucket of freshly extracted poignant ocean salt to deluge my lackadaisical life with loads of seductive vibrancy. A bucket of uncontrollable love to flood my impoverished visage with the ecstatic fire to leap. The turbulent urge to exist amongst a pack of savage wolves on this planet. A bucket of uncontrollable love. A bucket of uncontrollable love to flood my impoverished visage with the ecstatic fire to leap. The turbulent urge to exist. The turbulent urge to exist amongst a pack of savage wolves on this planet. And a bucket of breath to inundate my jacket of fragile brown lungs with freshly reinvigorating air, granting me the unprecedented tenacity to survive, granting me an indomitable urge to live my complete quota of destined years, and a bucket of breath to inundate my jacket of fragile brown lungs, to inundate my jacket of fragile brown lungs with freshly reinvigorating air, granting me the unprecedented tenacity to survive, granting me an indomitable urge to live my complete quota of destined years. Ladies and gentlemen, it truly was a victorious privilege for me to have given a recitation of my poetry to your exuberantly mesmerizing jurisdiction. Of course, at any juncture of existence, you can purchase this book of mine from Amazon.com. From the innermost corridor of my soul, I wanted to express my gratitude to you for having patronized my poetry. Thank you for listening to me.